All right, so today's class, we are looking at prime factorization of a number. So here we were just doing a quick review on prime numbers. So we just listed out some prime numbers here. All right, so when we write numbers as a product of prime numbers, we're going to use one of two methods. The first method is called the factor tree method. The second method is called the repeated division method. But in both cases, either one that you choose, you will have a set of prime numbers for a particular number, and when they are multiplied together, they will give you that number, that original number that you start with. So for example, let's prime factor the numbers 54 and 24 using the factor tree method. So factor tree method, it's going to look like this. So we're going to start with the number 54, and we're going to split it into its factors until we end up with just prime factors. So two numbers that go into 54, I'm going to choose 9 and 6, but remember you can choose any two that go into 54. So I've chosen 9 and 6 because 9 times 6 will give me the 54. So now I can split each of these into their factors. So the number 9, the two factors for number 9 would be 3 and 3, and two factors for 6 would be 2 and 3. So now if we look at our last row of numbers here, these are all prime numbers. So 3, 3, 2, and 3 are prime numbers. But if we multiply them together, if we multiply 3 times 3 times 2 times 3, we will get our original number of 54. All right, so this does give us is equal to 54. All right, and these are the prime factors for 54. All right, let's try number 24. Two numbers that give me 24. Any two numbers that will give me 24. 12 and 2. All right, so let's do 12 and 2. So 2 is already a prime number, so we can't factor this further. But then 12, we can factor further. We can use 2 and 6. So 2 and 6. And then we can factor the 6 further for 2 and 3. All right, so our prime factors here are 2, 2, 2, and 3. So our prime factors would be 2 times 2 times 2 times 3, and double check that it gives us 24. 2 times 2 times 2, that is 8, and 8 times 3 is 24. All right, so the bottom row of numbers must all be prime numbers when we complete our factoring. So to show that, you can always just bring this all the way down. I didn't bring it all the way down, but I did circle all my prime numbers here. All right, we just factored the number 24 again, just using two different numbers. We used 8 and 3, and we continued to prime factor them using the factor tree method, but we still end up with the same answer. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 to give me the 24. All right, the next method is called the repeated division method. Okay, so using the repeated division method, we're going to set it up this way. So we have the 84, and we're going to set it up like this. All right, and what we're going to do with this method is we're going to choose prime numbers as our factors. So 84 is divisible by 2. I'm just going to use 2. All right, so 84 is divisible by 2, and that gives me 42. And I'm going to continue to do this until I can't factor anymore. So 42 is, again, divisible by 2. So all the numbers on my left-hand side that I'm choosing, they have to be prime numbers. So 42 divided by 2, that gives me 21. All right, so next, 21 is divisible by 3. 3 is still a prime number. And 21 divided by 3, that gives me 7. And now I can divide by 7. 7 is still a prime number. and 7 divided by 7, that gives me a 1. All right, and all the numbers on our left-hand side are the prime numbers, so that's the prime factorization. So 2 times 2 times 3 times 7 to give me 84. Right, so next we're looking at 210. We're going to set it up the same way. So on the left-hand side, we're going to choose prime numbers. So 210, let's just divide by 2 because it's easy. We know that 210 will divide by 2. That gives me 210 divided by 2, that gives me 105. All right, next, 105 divided it by 5. 5 is a prime number, and that gives me 21. All right, keep going. We can divide by 7. 21 divided by 7. That gives me 3. And then 3, we'll divide by 3 to give me 1. All right, so our answer here is 2 times, I'm just going to write it the same way as here, 2 times 5 times 7 times 3, which gives me 210. All right, so we're going to try 210 again. We're just going to use different numbers. So last time we divided by 2. Let's divide by 3. 3 is still a prime number. 210 divided by 3, that gives me 70. We can take 70, divide it by 7. That gives me 10. 10 we can divide by 2, which gives me 5. And then 5 divided by 5, which gives me 1. All right, so again, it's the numbers on the left-hand side, which are the prime factors. So 3 times 7 times 2 times 5 to give me 210, the exact same as what we saw before. All right, so two factors that go into 36. We could have used 6 and 6. We could have used 18 times 2. We can use 12 and 3 as well. All right, so 12 and 3, if I'm using, the 3 is already a prime number, so then I would just factor the 12. Like I can use 3 and 4, because 3 times 4 gives me 12. And then the 4 can be further factored to 2 times 2. All right, and then our prime factors then would be 3, the 3, the 2, and the 2. All right, so just writing that out, it would be 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. All right, so you got to keep factoring the number until you end up with prime factors. Okay, so we're going to try prime factoring 36 with two different numbers. Let's try 6 times 6. So 6 times 6 gives me 36. I can continue to factor 6. It's 2 and 3 to give me 6, and then 2 and 3 to give me 6. And now these are all prime numbers here, so we still end up with the same answer, 2 times 3 times 2 times 3 to give me 36. All right, so we're taking 120 and we're going to use the factor tree method. So I'm going to use 2 and 60. 2 times 60 to give me 120. 2 is already prime, so I'm going to go ahead and further factor 60. I'm going to use 2 and 30. Then I would further factor the 30. I'm going to use 2 and 15. And then the 15 can be factored 3 and 5. And 3 and 5 are now prime numbers. So we can't factor any further. So our answer would be 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times the 5, which gives me 120. Okay, so when we're working with the number 28, all the factors on the left-hand side, make sure we're using prime numbers. So 28, we can divide that by 2. 28 divided by 2, that gives me 14. Then I can further divide the 14, divide that by 2 again. I can get a 7. And then 7 divided by 7, that gives me the 1. So my factors here are on the left-hand side. So my answer would be 2 times 2 times 7, which gives me 28. All right, for the 84, we had done that as an example already, but let's divide that by 2. 84 divided by 2, that gives me 42. We can divide that again by 2 to give me 21. Continue to divide by prime numbers. So we can divide that by 3. That gives me 7. And then we'll divide the 7 by 7 to give me the 1. So the prime factorization of 84 is 2 times 2 times 3 times 7 to give me 84.